Shalom party people, and welcome to the 12th C. Got Mr. JD Stone on my left, and you can actually see us today. JD Stone, how much weight you got?
Probably that same 35.
Same 35, give or take. Didn't add any new books?
No, there's not any more space in here.
Well, you know,
more books.
Sometimes that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
So, still rocking 83 pounds, give or take, for myself. And we've been chit-chatting a little bit, hit the radical feminism conversation, although I'm sure you guys didn't want to hear about that today. And we talked gun laws in weird states and how America just be weird, yo. And we got chit-chatting a little bit on Mr. JD Stone's BJJ career and how he's gonna go dominate the cage fighting soon. But not really, but you know, I used to do Taekwondo when I was little, and we got, you know, trading notes a little bit back and forth on what the belt testing looked like. And how far away do you think you could be from going to becoming a blue belt?
Maybe 6 months. Maybe.
Okay. 6 months, that's not bad. And I don't consider myself a martial artist anymore, because this was years ago. I did get my 2nd degree black belt in Taekwondo, but the thing with Taekwondo is it's really more showboaty than anything else. Like, there's very little that's actually relevant in self-defense. It was invented for high kicks because the Koreans needed to unhorse people on the battlefield.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's why all those kicks are way above your head.
Okay.
So, and Taekwondo is substantially more kicking than punching.
Yes. Well, that would also, that's beneficial because you can wear shoes.
Yes.
And you can protect your feet, whereas strikes are actually very, very rough on your hands.
Of course they are.
Most people, if you're watching films,
Yeah.
you're not going to recognize that, but yeah, you can easily break your hand
Well, what's
against
that?
a dude's skull.
What's that Filipino martial art where they like break your hands? They like make you lay out your hands on bricks and they pound them
That's
until
brutal.
you
I don't think I've heard of
have
that.
no more nerve endings that are active in your hands. And that's the one that I find weird. But anyway, I had asked Mr. JD Stone if there was a testing fee at his school, because my school gypped me. They were like, oh yeah, it's $150 to test for your black belt. And now, mind you, we got an embroidered belt that had our name on it and a plaque and a cheap little rinky-dink sword that was decorative, not cool. But I mean, that's where your testing fee went into. I mean, also you were having the instructor show up outside of normal hours, and it was an all-day event. So, I mean, there's some cost associated with it, but explain the BJJ belt testing.
I actually don't know because I haven't done it, obviously.
Have you seen it though?
I don't think I've ever seen them testing. No, that's not true. I have. At least in the gym that we're at, it's a Gracie Baja. All they would do is take the 2 or 3 people that they're testing over to the side, you know, over in the corner, and the instructor says, okay, show me a double leg takedown, show me a single leg takedown, show me a hip throw, and then, you know, just go through. There's a lot of things that you should know, and he just kind of picks at random. Do you know how to do that? Watches how you execute it and say, okay, yeah, you know what you're talking about. And that's it. I don't know if they charge you anything more for it, and you just go ahead and buy your new belt, and
you're good to go.
And your gi. I mean, not your gi, your rash guard. Because if you do know gi, at least for the Gracie guys, the color on your shoulder is your belt.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I've got white shoulders. I know a few people with blue shoulders or purple shoulders. One guy with brown shoulders. Nobody wears a black gi. We've got no black belts in my gym right now.
Oh, what? Not even your instructor?
Not even my instructors.
Whoa.
We're all browns. It's the highest it goes. Because belts mean something in BJJ.
No, they do. Taekwondo, it was how long you had been in, not so much how skilled you were.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a threshold for black belt, but it was mostly, are you of a reasonable physical fitness? I mean, it was minimal, but it was, are you of a reasonable physical fitness? Can you run a mile in under a certain amount of time that's age appropriate for you? Can you do homemade gummy bears? Can you do, you know, a reasonable number of push-ups and sit-ups? And then
I thought it was breaking boards.
no, the board breaking thing was ceremonial.
Okay.
We had forms, and it's do you know your forms? And for my first degree, it was 10 forms that I had to know, and I had to do them to a certain level of proficiency. And then for my second degree, it was like 17 forms.
Okay.
And they were more complicated than the first 10.
All right.
So, you know, it's the, can you move your body the way you're supposed to, is effectively what it was. And so, I mean, there's some discipline behind it,
Yeah.
but like that's, if you're going and you're putting in the time, then yeah, like it's going to come naturally.
Right.
Because you're not gonna get your second degree. You might get your first degree, because a lot of people quit after that. They're like, I admit it, I'm a black belt, I'm done.
Yep.
But you're not gonna get your second degree unless you're actually like in it.
Right.
And the school closed down on me, and I moved to another one, and I didn't care for it. And so it was just like, yeah, I'm done. And I had been a second degree for a year or two. So,
Wow.
so I mean, the potential for me to have jumped from second to third was there, but with the school closing down and the other school that I went to, I didn't like the structure that the guy who was running it had.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I can't get behind this one. And I was moving into high school and just different stuff going on. And I was like, yeah, this is a perfect time to exit. So
Makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, there is a guy, one of our brown belts, did Taekwondo.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what belt he is in Taekwondo, but I am pretty impressed with the athleticism that's required.
Like
for it.
there is some that's there, and like I was getting at earlier, it's a lot of high kicks.
Uh-huh.
So like your MMA guys who were in Taekwondo, the one thing that they have on everybody else is they can do head kicks really well.
And you cannot,
and head kicks are devastating.
Yeah, you do not discount the head kicks, because if you can pull those off, there's more force is generated in that.
There's so much rotational mass
Yeah.
in a kick, especially a round kick.
Uh-huh.
You can, if you know what you're doing, you can kill somebody with a round kick to the head.
Yeah, there's.
So I mean,
if you look at the KOs,
it's substantially more dangerous.
If you look at TKOs in MMA, in the UFC, you're going to see a lot of them are coming from
round kicks.
Kicks to the head.
Now, I will say this: a lot of Taekwondo guys don't know how to punch, and I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, you can get in close where you take away the advantage of the leg.
Uh-huh.
And then the other thing is Taekwondo guys don't know how to act on the ground, and I'm one of them.
Right.
And I don't consider myself a Taekwondo person anymore, because that was, you know, years ago. And I'm so out of practice that if I were to repursue martial arts, it's like, start me over, man.
Yeah, I'm sure you would pick it up pretty fast.
There's probably some muscle memory that's still in there.
Uh-huh.
And like, I can wrap my brain around the concepts of why you need to go into a horse stance at this angle, and why, you know, you need to strike on an exhale. Like, I get those.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, it's years without practice. So
Right. Now, the thing about Taekwondo or karate or any of the other striking
Yeah.
disciplines is that you can't practice very hard.
No.
Because you are either going to injure yourself or your opponent.
Or both.
And, that's not good. That's not conducive towards your overall goal. I mean, we're talking about conditioning, right?
Right.
You're breaking down your own body and their body, so now you can't train to intensity
Right. It's
anymore.
a contact sport. So.
Right. So,
And it's a combative contact sport. It's not just.
It's
Whereas
rough.
rolling with BJJ, you can handle that a lot more.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna say I used to think that you could go a lot harder than you can just every day on BJJ and be fine.
Well, there's people who roll 5 days a week.
You
But
gotta
it's
scale
intense.
it back. Even with the tapping that you do, even if you want to be careful with your opponent and be careful with your own self, there's injuries that happen.
Right.
We had one girl who her opponent tried to do a flying, a jumping into guard thing. You're not supposed to do that unless you're blue belt at least.
Right. Well, there's probably risk with it.
There's a little bit of risk because the girl that was having that done too, she didn't know to right away to plant her feet the right way.
Yeah.
And she tore, actually I think it turned out it wasn't a tear, it was just a sprain, but she messed up her ankle.
Yeah. Which if she had had the experience behind her probably would have been lessened, if not happen at all.
And you could even, if you're strong, you can even withstand it and be like, okay, now you've got me in guard.
Right.
But I'm standing and you can't hold that. You can stand on your legs a lot longer and you can keep your legs wrapped around somebody else.
Right.
It was almost a disadvantaged position that the one. Anyway, the point being, you cannot go 100%.
Right.
You cannot go 100% every day and expect
if you
to
keep
not get
going
injured.
100%, yeah, you're.
I mean, I've had an ankle that I didn't tap on fast enough.
Yeah.
And it's been bothering me. You can pull out your shoulders. The chokes. If you get choked out too often, that's not good for you.
We were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
And you, I had that question for you. How many times can you pass out in a week and still be okay?
Yeah, it's like once a week. You should not be passing out. And we're very careful about that in our gym, and we try not to pass out ever.
Right.
But some people do. And okay, good on you. Do that in competition.
Right.
Don't do that every day. It's not good for your brain.
No, it's not.
That said, that you can't go 100%. You can go a lot harder in BJJ and train and be more aware of where your limits are and what other people's limits tend to be.
Right. Well, and
than if you're doing Taekwondo or karate.
Well, and there's a certain element of you should know where your limits are.
You really should.
And you should test those limits. But yeah, if you're in a striking combative sport, and I'm going to tell you right now that like actual sparring in Taekwondo, at least at our level, was maybe a once a week thing.
Yeah.
Most of it was forms.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because forms you can do forever.
Uh-huh.
It's just are you wearing your own body out?
Right.
Versus are you damaging something where it comes to sparring?
Right. So like with us, we will use the first half of the session training a new technique.
Right.
And which is great. You need that slow time to make sure that you're getting your movements right. Then you do the next half rolling, either free rolling or they'll have a drill where we're trying to one person is one position, the other person's in the other position, and you've got different goals, opposing goals,
right, that
you're trying to get to, and whoever reaches their goal fast, they stay there, the other person leaves and get somebody else.
Right.
And so and it's usually to practice that technique that you're doing. It's like, you know, we're going to do a arm bar from mount, so, or we're going to escape guard. We're going to escape guard.
Right.
So your job is to escape guard, like we've been practicing. The other guy's job is to keep the other person in guard, maybe submit you if you can. You'd be so surprised how you feel like you've got that that technique down. Like, yeah, you know, I've done it,
And then all of a sudden you have to do it for real.
Yeah, when you do it for real, all of a sudden your opponent is not giving it to you anymore.
Right.
It turns out that there's little movements, little positions that you've got to be very careful about. You know, if your leg is on the guy's shoulder and not by the bicep, that makes a huge difference how they can move.
Well, what is it Mike Tyson says? Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Exactly.
So.
And yeah, speaking to that, I've seen videos of a BJJ person getting into a street fight.
Yeah.
Which it's obligatory, but it's so true. The best way to win a fight is to not get in one.
Right.
De-escalate your situation, please.
100%.
And this guy did not. He let his ego get in the way, and they blew up and they fight. So
BJJ, you're also fighting one person, whereas in a street fight, you don't know. Like, it may look like you're fighting one person until you're too late.
It's true, and this guy did have the fortune of only fighting with one person in this.
Yeah.
But
well, I've had the opportunity to witness a lot of prison fights.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that the other night.
Yeah, we were.
And I'll say that the prison fights are very interesting. The real ones, the staff never sees. But there are still occasionally a couple of good ones from time to time. But I mean, the biggest thing, like, and I don't go to prison, please don't. But if you ever do go to prison, don't get a reputation for being a fighter, because like, you're gonna die because everybody's gonna want to challenge you. And so if you do get in prison fights, you need to take a couple of really good solid licks before you destroy your opponent, because if you don't kind of look like you're about to lose the fight before you win it, everybody's gonna challenge you. Everybody's gonna challenge you, and you're gonna die because someone's gonna bring a knife to a fist fight.
Yeah.
So,
well, and the other thing you said about that surprised me was, when you're in that fight, you do not go 100%.
nope.
You don't, you know, you still don't go for the groin, and you still don't like gouge the eyes.
The only time you fight dirty in prison is if it's 6-1 and you're about to die. And when that happens, like, they understand that you're going for the groin, they understand that you're going for the eye gouge and all that, but they're still going to kill you.
Right.
So yeah, it's like, you only do that in a true, like, because most prison fights people walk away from.
Yeah.
You don't fight dirty in a prison fight.
So it's still,
because they will kill you.
It's still a domination game, which was surprising to me. I thought that prison was more of a, you know, this is a survival situation.
It's not it is survival, but it's long-term survival.
Right.
And so if you go with a short-term solution for a long-term problem, then they're going to turn that into a long-term problem for you that's going to permanently end. Because you strike a dude's groin in prison in a fight just to keep the upper advantage, they're going to jump you with 6 guys when you're not expecting it, and you will die. Yeah, it's a battlefield, you go all out, but it's your prison is still not your battlefield, which is interesting. Yeah, no, and like I said, it's only in that, like, where they are legitimately trying to kill you, that you're like, okay, all the rules are out the window, but they're trying to kill me, so I'm still probably gonna die. So yeah, it is scary. And that's something that I guess I take for granted, because I've seen enough of that working in correction settings, and I just figured people knew that. So that was interesting that you didn't. And I'm not saying that you were ignorant or anything. It's just that I've seen things and I've taken those for granted. Right. Well, no, I know that men especially, we've been cultured into combat, and we know, we most of us probably don't articulate it. But when you think about it, you know, there's rules to the fighting. Right, 100%. And it really is not about beating up the other person. And that's something that women actually don't understand. And so they have a hard time acclimating to whenever they get into law enforcement or military. It's like, there's a lot of violence that happens between men that is not to kill. Right. It is all a competition. And it's finding out where you sit in the hierarchy. Now, I just didn't know
that prison was still that way.
Yeah, it is.
That
100%
it's
it's
not
that
the
way.
battlefield yet.
Yeah, well, it can be, but it's still
Right.
100% of hierarchies and pecking orders.
Right.
And all of that good stuff.
There's a lot of layers of social
Yeah.
relationships that you get to before it becomes the
Well,
life or death violence.
Ogres have layers, onions have layers. So anyway,
Exactly.
on that note, go do hard things.